Let's begin. Namaskaram and welcome to our new series, Debugging Developers Dilemma, the 25th hour. This is the theme of our podcast. I'm really delighted here to have both of you, our panelists today, Mr. Sarvagy Shah, the product manager and associate director revenue strategy at AjnaLens. And the topic for today's discussion is high-end dreams on low-end machines. And also today, we are really thrilled to have Mr. Andrew Yew, the Chief Technology Officer of Ministry XR. Andrew also holds a PhD from National University of Singapore, where he conducted postdoctoral research in deep technology and augmented reality applications in manufacturing, robotics, healthcare, and education. He's also co-founder of Ministry XR, where he has been working on deep technology solutions across different industries. Andrew, I also see you're a co-founder of Ministry of XR, Ministry for Good, a non-profit organization focused on creating tech solutions for the good of the community and the less fortunate, and more formally, the chapter president of chapter Malaysia chapter of AR/VR Association. That's a stellar background spanning from pioneering roles in ministry and your academics. Uh, so we are really grateful that you bring invaluable insights to our discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I would also request Sarvagya once formally introduce himself to our audience who would be watching our podcast.
Namaskaram everyone. I started as a robotics engineer, then become a game developer, and then product manager roles and everything. And now they're taking care of the business strategy and everything. Myself, I like feel very fortunate because I was not born in the computer era, or I didn't contributed like when the algebra and all these things are like people are making it. So I really feel fortunate enough to working on the very foundational technology. BS started as a paper and pen, right? The human like started our journey
Indeed.
in the educational space using the paper and pen, right? And then now we are into the audio and video space. We consume lots of videos and audios each and every day. And now we are moving towards the immersive space where like the whatever videos that we consume right now, the whatever times we spend, but we only able to retain 30% out of it, right? But using the XR technology, we can retain for like more than 80 to 100 90%. So they can like we can learn in the rapid speed anything whatever we wanted to learn. So learning equal to earning. So if some people like think so, it's all related to like economic growth and everything. So
That's really grateful how modern technology like extended reality could solve deep of the human problems. Andrew, I mean, you have such a great experience in XR, augmenting human intelligence, extended reality ecosystem. What do you think about it? How are we heading towards
I see
AW?
AWE. I
Yes,
believe AjnaLens, you're quite familiar with AWE, Augmented World Expo. Yeah, so we went to the one in the States back in 2017, 2018, before COVID. And one of those years they were giving out these t-shirts. So I grabbed a couple for some of our team members, and I save it for special occasions like today, having this session with you guys.
this
So
shows your passion. The
yeah.
spirit is embedded in Andrew.
Yes. So as you sort of when you were doing the introduction, you pointed out my academic background,
Yes,
and then I came into the industry. I co-founded Ministry XR with my cousin actually. I think my journey first started in 2010. To me, right, it's all about solving problems. From the time in academia up till today, with Ministry XR, with Ministry for Good, my goal has always been to solve real world problems. Just to give you an idea of what that means, my company's vision and mission. Our vision is um, a world where immersive and emerging technologies they seamlessly integrate with our daily lives, and they enhance human connection, creativity, and productivity. And so our mission is to harness the full potential of immersive and emerging technologies like XR. in order to transform industries, to improve lives, and to empower every individual. So it's all about solving problems. And we have a saying that we adopted from Thomas Edison actually. It's to fall in love with the problem, not the solution. So it's always about how can, since my background is in extended reality, immersive technology, it's always about how can it be used to solve real problems in a practical way.
That's really great. I believe this is a converging point between the vision of AjnaLens and the vision of your company, like solving basic human problems and how could leverage technology. Well, Andrew, when it comes to technology, when it comes to high-end devices, there are ex bootstrapped XR startups, there are emerging economies that somewhere lack this access to hardware. When it comes to creating such a great XR content, you obviously need high-end machines, high-end PC. But we know how this could be a big hole in the pocket of bootstrap companies, the logistic cost, the cost of logistics. So let's dive into the heart of our theme for today: high-end dreams on low-end machines. How can we achieve this thing? So what inspired you to explore the concept of high-end dreams on low-end machines, especially in the context of remote desktop solutions?
Mm,
What inspires you in this arena?
Coming, following on from my personal and professional focus is always to solve problems, right? So when we are trying to solve a problem, it's not an easy thing, especially a real world problem. It's not something that you can sit down over an afternoon or overnight just thinking, how can I solve this problem? The next day, eureka, I've got it. Spend like 1 or 2 months building something, and boom, it's done. Um, so that the saying "fall in love with the problem, not the solution," that was a saying that came from Thomas Edison, I believed. And you know the
Yes,
story of Thomas Edison.
yes,
He was trying to create the light bulb, and it wasn't, after like 10 tries he got it. He kept trying different materials to form the filament until he hit upon tungsten, and that gave light, right? So it's not just about innovation, it's about persistence as well. Obviously, when we are creating a solution, the core innovation, right? That's one aspect. But when you want to deploy it, at scale especially, there are many many different problems to solve. And I think one of the problems that we face, especially in extended reality, is sort of a bottleneck in computational power.
yes,
Computational power, as well as the memory, the availability of memory, right? RAM. So, and why is it so for XR? It's because it is quite a computationally expensive process that's required. You need to track and register the environment. You need to understand the space, the geometry of the space, the semantic understanding, which means, where am I? What is this area about? Right? Is this a wall? Is this a door? That kind of thing. And it needs to then pull in relevant information about the real world, right? And this real world in extended reality is always um, relevant to the perspective of the user, right? So the user is, we want to give user the freedom of movement to go anywhere, to look anywhere. And so the information has to be updated all the time, right? XR is supposed to make things easy. It's supposed to simplify technology. It's not supposed to complicate things.
yes,
So we are not about overloading information as well, right? So how do you best convey the most important information in an easy to absorb way, right? That's where visualizing data, visualizing information is key, right? And that tends to involve graphical rendering, and sometimes, especially with scientific visualization,
yes.
the creation of the visuals involves a lot of calculations, right? And so when it comes to extended reality development, it's quite hard to escape this problem of computational and memory constraint. One more thing that exacerbates this is um, if you remember back in the day when VR first came about, VR devices were all tethered to computers, right? So then the computer
Yes.
became the computers were the central processing unit. Um, and as we explore more and more use cases, we obviously a lot of the value comes from being mobile, right? You can go out, you go all over the place, and that power of extended reality goes with you. So then you find yourself targeting mobile devices, and all the computation requirement is in the device, and that's where, from a development point of view, we suddenly have a lot of work to do in terms of optimizing for computation, optimizing for memory usage. Yeah. So when it comes to when solutions like XR streaming, high performance computing streaming, remote desktops, these really, as you put it, the 25th hour, right? It saves time, it saves cost on the development side. It turns open-ended, complicated problems into more trivial problems. It's all about how do we integrate the streaming solution into our platform, our product, and how do we orchestrate that at scale. That is more trivial.
It's like escaping the 25th hour.
Exactly. Yes.
Sarvagi, what do you think about it?
So before starting, like why do we need virtual desktop? First, we need to understand why XR. The XR is all about the blending the virtual world with the real world,
Yes.
right? And to do that, we have to replicate the real world physics into the virtual world. Then only like we can blend both the world together. And whenever we run the physics, it's required the computational power, right? The huge computational power still are whatever the devices that we use each and every day, the whatever video game also play, right? In that as well, we cannot replicate. Still, we cannot able to replicate the real world physics into the virtual world, right? Somehow, like we have reached to that level, but if we wanted to enhance the like true potential of the XR, then we need to do that, right? We need to replicate the real world physics into the virtual world. So for that, we require the huge computational devices and everything, the huge infrastructure as well. But that is not scalable.
Hmm.
So if we wanted to make it scalable, it's required the remote computational and HPC kind of a technology. So like we have the access, the computing power wirelessly. This is the first point. The second point is the whenever we do the streaming and all these things, the whenever the user wear the headset, the form factor should be reduced. So there is a two challenges that we have to solve. The computational problem as well that we have to solve, and we have to make the device in such a way so it's like very comfortable for the human being to wear like for 24 hours, right? So for that, we have to reduce the form factor. So if we reduce the form factor, we cannot put the computational power into the devices, right?
Indeed.
To solve that issues, the HPSC, the high performance spatial computing streaming, is very much required to solve both the issue. And when we achieved it, then the XR technology become the commodity, and every from top to bottom level, all the levels, human being can get the benefit out of it. Can
As
become the
being
commodity.
said, wearable technology is the future.
Yeah.
Right from your fitness band to your wearable
Yes.
computer,
Every. Yeah.
everything is going to be wearable. That's
Correct.
that's really right. That's really right. Do you guys have any instance where you have used a virtual desktop machine? Any case study in your product development cycle? Any instance where you have incurred, like, let's say you're sitting in a Goa beach chilling, and you have to create a high end graphic, high end you have to replicate high end real physics into the virtual world, but you just don't have a high power computer at the time. But what if you have access to a virtual machine and you just you know happen to do the work at the same time? Do you guys have any case study, any real world example to share with our viewers to make them more understandable and more relatable to it? What is this thing?
Okay. Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts that come to mind.
Great.
First one, are you guys have you guys seen the Netflix series, the three body problem?
Um, I'm not sure,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
I'll surely add that in my watch list, man.
All right, to those viewers of yours that have seen that, right? Um, one of the key plot points is a VR
Guys, put in the
device.
comment section if you have seen it.
Yeah. So it's about aliens, right? And they send out these virtual reality devices
Yeah,
to sort of like win the hearts and minds of the Earth population before they come and visit Earth, right? So that
yeah.
it's not too jarring when they come. So they use virtual reality, and it's a very, very realistic, immersive, like photorealistic rendering. It's almost as if it's real life. So things happen inside the virtual reality, and it basically anyone who goes through the experience, they have a very fundamental understanding of why the aliens are coming. Okay, I don't want to give any more details because there's spoilers. So, so
Spoilers
that's
alert.
that spoiler alert. But so that's the first one, right? And the second one is more obviously is something that my team and my company, we are sort of like working on this at the moment. So this is we're working with a partner of ours in New Zealand,
Wow.
and this is a piece of land that they are working on and turning it into a tourist attraction. This is
Great.
called the Hillocks. I don't know if you can see the words
Uh,
down here. It's the Hillocks, and it's in an area called Glenorchy,
Okay.
which is in New Zealand, right? So it's a very natural piece of land. It's sort of there are land formations called the hillocks that are like undulating, and they were formed through many millions of years of natural processes.
So volcanic eruptions and such activities.
All that kind of stuff going on there, yeah, in New Zealand. So there's a lot of natural history,
Kiwis.
and and the flora and fauna is a very important part of that natural history. So they want to turn this into a tourist attraction, but they don't want it to be like sort of a Disneyland, a fantasy world. They want it to reflect, what went on down there millions of years, the evolution until today. And today we see many problems with climate change, with a lot of waste and pollution. And part of that is to look into the future of evolution to see what might happen to the area in terms of flora, fauna. So obviously the things in the past and things in the future, you can't go to the place and look at it with your own eyes. And so that's why we are collaborating to have a continuous outdoor mixed reality experience
Wow.
so that these
Incredible.
stories can be conveyed to the visitors, right?
Wow.
And we want it to be very, very well integrated with the natural environment. We don't want to build all sorts of structures all over the world, the place. It's more like this is how the structures will be built. It's a bit like the Shire in the Lord of the Rings, where it's very well blended into the the natural landscape, right? And so there's going to be a few of these structures placed around the place, and um, and this is where you can have maybe more um, more intricate storytelling of the past, present, and future. But we don't want it to just be isolated in these areas. So we want a continuous um, sort of immersive storytelling as the users walk around the park. And so there's a lot of information, a lot of content that needs to be presented,
Rendered.
rendered to the
Yeah.
user, and
Yeah.
um, we don't want the device to be a bottleneck in terms of the amount of content as well as the quality of the content. Right? We are aiming for cinematic, immersive content, and so that's why for this project we are actually hinging on the availability of streaming solutions that can stream continuously to the headsets.
HPSC.
HPSC, that's the way to go. And I believe that a project of this scale that is
Yes.
leveraging on HPSC, it's going to be probably one of the first of its kind. We hope that it's
Wow.
the first of many more use cases, not just in education, tourism, but as well as in education, in education institutes, in research, in manufacturing, and so on.
All the XR enthusiasts watching this podcast are looking forward to it.
Coming soon, coming soon.
Yes, 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 guys.
Yes.
Spoilers alert. Again,
And this can like transform the entire digital twin industry. So it's like great benefits for them.
what are the other benefits a remote desktop could bring to a user other than, scalability, the kind of content you publish and create and experience? Other than monetary benefits, what are any other benefits and an end user like a low key person could get through a RDP solution?
So we all are engineers. We all are like some part we play in the developer creativity and everything. Every time, like what we wish, like we need a bigger screen. So whenever we are doing something, we require the bigger screen. We also require the bigger screen, but we also don't want to carry the laptop or phone. Now, though we are like shifted, are like processing half of the work that we do with the phone itself, right? Because it's more convenient and more accessible to like because I can access my laptop through phone and we can do lots of stuff. It's very accessible, right? And if you go anywhere now, the laptop is like the 5 years, 3 years down the line, the laptop is more accessible. Now the phone is more accessible for the computing or to access the remote desktop and everything. And the new age phones like the fold and everything, they have the bigger screen, the tablet kind of a thing, so you can access the remote. And the computing is not the bottleneck now because there's lots of infrastructure is available. Like you can. So what happens now? Like till date, we go into the market and we buy the laptop. Okay, I want the 16 GB RAM. I want this 1050 or 5060 graphic card. And the 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, you will feel okay. This is not enough. I have to buy bigger one. So it's a cycle, right? Because there is lots of technological advancement is happening each and every day.
Yes,
Rather than tying yourself with this fixed infrastructure, rather than you can go for a dynamic one. So whenever you required the huge computing power for a certain period of time, rent it, use it, and give it to them again, right? So that kind of movement will come now because and certain kind of a thing you don't require the huge computational power, right? It depends on the work, like what kind of work you are into and the period of time you require that computational power. So I think the that kind of and don't tie up yourself with the fixed tools because if then you will start feeling okay, I have this limited laptop and I cannot do this now just because of the hardware limitation. But now you have the freedom because of the lots of infrastructure and everything available. Now you can go beyond. Don't tie up yourself and rent it, use it, and then like you can move on. You can more focus on the problem solving rather than the tools and the resources and the same cost. Mostly.
I
indeed.
have a few examples. The work that we have done before, I think. From a development perspective, um, there were a few projects where we deployed the solution and it was open to the public users. For those particular applications, there were many updates that were required while the system was live, right? That's what we call in development CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? I think so, something like that. CI/CD anyway.
Yeah, CI/CD
Yeah.
pipeline.
So uh, when we are doing development before launching,
Yes,
we would be doing the code compilation and building into the binary files using our machines in the office, right? So I think that is kind of like a downtime for the developers because they will do the coding and the development and then they, okay, hit the build button and they let the machine do its work and then they go out for a break, a smoke, a chit chat, right? And as the code base gets more complicated, the build time increases.
Correct.
It can go up to like a few hours, even a whole day, right? So we that became a real bottleneck for us, especially when updates had to be done, in a mission critical time factor, right? So then we turned to build servers, where we set up cloud virtual machines with the the building platforms. So some of the projects we were using Unity. So we had a license for Unity where we deployed it in a virtual machine. So it was deployed as a headless running server, and our developers would be doing the updates on the code, and then the building and deployment would be sent to the server, and then it will be done very quickly on the server, because at the server side there would be tons of physical machines that make up one logical virtual machine that gives it lots of computational power and memory space to do the building very quickly, right? So that really reduced the time needed and allowed us to meet the requirements of the projects. The other use case for us was when we started doing automated testing, right? So we would have web applications and our QA process, again, mission critical, needed to be updates needed to be done very quickly. Human-centric QA process would have been a bit slow. So we automated the simulation of a large scale of users logging in. There was one metaverse project, so logging in, running around, and we could then get the metrics of how much the server capacity would be taken up, and so how would we need to then tune the servers to auto scale, right? Based on the new codes that we had deployed. So if being able to automate that and make the adjustments quickly was really, really important for those projects. There's one more use case, I think it's more from a user perspective, right? Like a normal
Yes.
user. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
had a project where we created an augmented reality application for dementia sufferers to carry out reminiscence
Oh.
therapy.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. This
reminiscence
is
therapy.
is it Ministry XR project or Ministry of for Good?
It's a little bit of both.
A
Yeah,
balance of both.
a balance of both. Yes, that's right. So dementia sufferers, they have to do reminiscence therapy, which means it's when you reminisce something, right? You sort of like you sit around the living room with your loved ones and you talk about, oh, remember last Christmas, what we did. Remember, New Year's Day, what happened, that kind of thing. And it's a lot of fun, right? I'm sure you guys can relate. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun. It's very nostalgic. It's very positive, and research shows that there is actual tangible benefit to the cognitive sort of protection of dementia sufferers, right? And if anything, it makes them feel more content. It makes them feel happy. And if you know about dementia, when they feel depressed, they feel cooped
Yes.
up in the home, they tend to act in these self-destructive ways. They tend to go out of the house themselves, and they might get lost. Very often it happens, and they could get hurt, right?
Especially such cases have spiked up after the COVID, after the pandemic, the kind of
Exactly,
loneliness and people have suffered. Oh my
exactly.
gosh. Yeah.
This was a project that was it came during the COVID period. Um, Reminiscence therapy is an actual clinically administered therapy, and when COVID hit, because it has to be done together with clinicians or caregivers, where they bring in photo albums and they go through it with the dementia sufferer. But COVID came in, and everyone was isolated, and the dementia sufferers could not do this therapy, right? So we turned to augmented reality. We developed an application that could recognize objects, photographs, and the application will be loaded with different kinds of media content, and it will be delivered to them through uh, this modality of mobile augmented reality. While doing this project, we also decided to create a smart home prototype because we felt like maybe the mobile device is a little bit not that immersive. Plus,
What is a
it might
smart
get
home
lost.
prototype? I mean, for our audience,
Yeah.
I mean, what is a smart home prototype?
So we got rid for this prototype. We got rid of the mobile device, and we embedded display devices, speakers, into the environment. And we also
Okay.
embedded sensors so that if
Okay.
there's like there will be objects in the living area that could serve as memorabilia, right? Or there
Yes.
could be photographs, framed up, right?
A
So
souvenir.
souvenirs, exactly, gifts.
Got it.
So these would become smart objects in the smart home.
Perfect. Perfect.
So when the smart home detects the elderly dementia sufferer,
Mm-hmm.
sort of looking at it, picking it up, examining it, the media is given to the dementia sufferer. And one more aspect of these systems, right, the smart home product especially,
Yes.
was EEG sensing. So if you know about EEG sensing, is where the brain waves are measured, and through the different levels of the brain waves, we correlate it to different levels of calmness, attention, and recall, right?
Oh.
And this is valuable data for clinicians to sort of keep track of the cognitive activity, and to also help the system curate better sort of memories that are triggered from the objects that they are engaging with. So there's a lot of scientific calculation and media being
Yes.
conveyed to
Yes.
the smart home, and
Yes.
I think this is a much it's a very meaningful application of um,
A
high
virtual
performance
machine.
streaming, of virtual
Yes.
machine, of remote desktops. Yeah,
I would like to
That's
learn more
really
about
great.
this
Yeah,
after this.
exactly. Even I'm interested into it now, a smart home prototype and how it is helping dementia sufferers, and that sounds like a very great job, man.
It's also real problems.
it's real
These
problems.
are these are
Yeah.
real world problems. I'm sure our XR developers will get more gist of how they can benefit humanity at a more grassroots level now.
And with
It's
with
great.
these solutions that like the remote desktop, high performance spatial computing, we are removing the barriers to developers and innovators developing these solutions.
I see.
They'll
I
get
see.
more freedom and they can
Yeah,
focus on the solving the problem rather than uh, distracted by the resources and tools.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yes. Yes. When we speak to developers on a day-to-day basis, one question that arises at their end is, what about data privacy? What about cyber security? What about due diligence when using a virtual machine? I mean, I want you, both of you, to clear the air now for our budding XR enthusiasts, XR developers who are about to deploy or using a virtual desktop solution. So, how does this work? Like, how does the due diligence work in this case? The data privacy, data security, cyber security norms. Are there any place to trigger your data privacy, your IP, while using a virtual machine? Please carry forward.
So I think data security and privacy works on a different layer. So we can start from the bottom of the heart. It's data center, right? So every country has their own rules for to building a data center, and they have the guidelines, the security, compliances, and everything. And now, like every country is very aggressive to make sure the country's data secure and everything. And this question, if you ask me, like 5 years before, then the
Yes.
situation will completely different. But now every country is very well aware how to secure their data, and that they have a realistic guidelines for the data centers and everything. But there is also guidelines for the aggregators as well, who like give you the access for to the data center, right? So on those level as well, there are lots of certifications that you have to clear to start, even if you want to start this aggregator business as well, right? So, and the first thing, I think data. So let's take an example of the privacy, the software privacy.
Yeah.
So before this, like there is lots of software privacy and everything is happening. But if we completely shift into the the virtual computing, then the privacy will be zero because there is no scope. Definitely, people will find a way, but there's a more accountability will come into the picture, and It will help us, the companies as well, the developers as well, to safeguard themselves and to see like how many users they have and in the real time basis and everything. And the first thing, what is like really important part over here is, let's say next, like, let's take an example about the Autodesk, right? They have the like huge money and they can like invest a huge amount of money into the data center and everything. The democratization is required, right, in the current era, right? So every developer, even small developer, also need all this kind of a technology in the fingertips. And if they do have, because everyone has a talent, but they are just lacking the resource and everything. So if they have the technology, accessibility, and the security as well, then it's a win-win for them. And the both the things is available now. And the security on the edge devices, like the smart, I'll talking about the headset, laptop, smartphones, or the wearable devices like XR devices and
The
everything.
A category devices, is it?
Yeah, you can like call that as well. So on those side as well, there are lots of guidelines from the hardware companies as well now, from each and every country that we have to clear before going to the market. You need the lots of certification for that, and in those certification, they'll do all kind of testing and everything. If you are certified, so don't buy a product so who doesn't have the certification and all this thing, then definitely you will face all these issues. But if you have the certified devices and if you have the certified aggregators as well, then you don't need to worry about it. And it's a more beneficial for the developers now because they can distribute their content or their applications in a fingertips. Because the major part is
Yes.
you make the solution, but the major part is the execution, the distribution, right? How you can accessible your solution to the masses, and the virtual machines make it accessible for the millions of user, right? So that's a quick because if I'll just give you an example, nobody has the power to buy like 1 lakh device or 2 lakh devices, but he has a use for only in a year. He will only use that application 100 hours for 100
Yes.
hours. Then
Yes.
he just need to pay for 100 hours. He doesn't need to buy a high-end machine and then use for 100 hours. It's a lots of cost saving for the end users as well.
Big monetary benefits. And the second point that I have noted down is the user has to be vigilant enough, go through the norms if the due diligence is being followed or not, and then you guys can pay and use the solution.
Right.
So yeah, I hope this clears the air for our
More
XR
education is
developers.
required.
I hope they have a way forward now. Andrew, what do you think? What is your POV?
Yeah. So information security, data privacy, these
Yes.
are really, really important, um, especially when a lot of personally identifiable data, sensitive data is being transmitted across oceans, across geographical boundaries. So I think Sarvagy rightly pointed out that it's not one party's responsibility, right? It's the data center, it's the developer, it's the hardware provider. So and it's also like we do a lot of B2B solution development for clients. It's also the client's responsibility. All of us have to come together and have our set of guidelines. We have to understand what are the regulations that we need to follow and follow those, right? And with information security, data privacy, it's never a solution that you implement and you're done, right? It's a journey. You have to put in place protocols, processes, and continuously monitor these. You can never just stop breaches completely, right? In one effort, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So on our side in our company, we have all kinds of policies written up. We have what we call a 360 view of information security, where you have to take care of the integrated solutions that you are using with your platform, and make sure that the certificates are there. Do your due diligence. If you are going onto web services, for example, they have a lot of documentation of where the data
The big
centers
giants.
are
The big giants.
exactly. What are the regulations that they have put in place? What are the protocols they have put in place? So we got to do our due diligence on those stuff. We got to also look at our own house, the people that we have, make sure that they follow the procedures, that they are clear about the procedures, that they follow it, especially things like when it comes to handling sensitive data. You have to state who has access, and you cannot allow anyone else to touch those databases. Who has
Obviously.
access, and whenever they access, we have to sort of have a registry. Whenever they go into the database, they have to sign in, right? All these are actually requirements, guidelines and compliance requirements that we are given as the solution developers that we have to follow. So we have to make sure that we do all these. Any breaches that occur, if we have done our due diligence, that's as far as we can go. Then we have to learn from whatever incidents that occur and improve from there. But I'm glad to say so far our projects haven't had any incidents. That a lot of hard work has gone into that. Yeah.
Has there any been incident as such that about data privacy, about, I mean, any data breach in terms of using a virtual machine?
So I'll just add one thing. The cyber security is like social security. It's not like that you cannot stop the 100% crime in the social life, right?
Yes.
That will happen in the cyber space as well. But what we can do, we can make the human more responsible and conscious. So we build a very humanity society, and like all are like happy and all have the freedom, those kind of life. Because of the whatever we'll do, someone will find the loophole. It's never been 100%, right? We just we will every day will come up with some new problem and we'll make a new SOP, right? That's the only way to solve this, because we have to be more responsible. Each and every stakeholder has to be more responsible about this.
Any advice offered you would like to offer to organizations and individuals who are seeking to leverage remote desktop solution to achieve high-end aspirations on low-end machines, as per the theme of our podcast today?
I think the title of this session,
Yes.
High-End Dreams on Low-End Machines, that is
Yes.
very, very appropriate because, you know, the high-end dream is what we aspire to achieve. And we must focus on that. We cannot let challenges that come along the way to stop us, right? We have to be persistent because achieving it will bring about great benefit, to whatever problem you're trying to solve, right? If we give up at any sign of difficulty, then nothing will get done in this world, right? So the high end dream is so important to keep in mind. And all tech companies, right, successful companies, they have all gone through this difficult the difficulties in developing solutions. I'm sure AjnaLens, right? You have developed a great piece of hardware. You have developed your development ecosystem and your marketplace and your platforms. Those did not come overnight. I'm sure you've hit many snags, but the thing is, like Thomas Edison, don't give up. Success is what 99% perspiration. The
Yes.
inspiration part is just the 1%. So don't give up. Um, for any problem, there are solutions out there. Today, any developers that are listening to this podcast, if you didn't know about virtual machines, high performance streaming, remote desktops, you might have been wondering, oh my God, I thought that it would be easy to develop an XR solution. It's whatever animation I'm doing, I can put it into my physical world, but then I hit a snag where my device is not powerful enough. The solution is right here, right? We're talking about it right now. Explore these tools, try it out. These tools are there, but again, there's going to be a period of time where you need to do your R&D. You need to figure out how to make these tools work for you, right? It's also not a free pass. Oh, these tools are there, I just need to use it and problem solve, right? You need to also plan it out, take the time to explore it and understand it. So always the hard work cannot be avoided.
Guys, Thomas
Agreed with
Edison,
this.
the role model now.
I think so, yeah. He keeps coming up.
Obviously, yes, have such an incredible his contribution to science and all, the, that
I
that
think I just
would
want to add
inspire generations to come. Yeah.
I just want to add another guy, right? Mark Weiser. The late great Mark Weiser he was um He is known as the father of ubiquitous computing. And in Ministry XR, um, we take a lot of inspiration from him. So
Wow.
one of the terms that he came up with is transparent user interface. So I think this is also a message to the developers out there, right? That you're coming into looking into immersive technology, extended reality. At least from my perspective, it's always about breaking down the barriers of the complexity of technology. Is to
Yes.
make it accessible to anyone and everyone. That's what extended reality can do, right? So Mark Weiser, he came up with the term transparent user interface. What it means is that the user, in using a technological solution, they don't even see the user interface. They just see the task in front of them, and they just carry out the task in a way that seems natural to them, right? So to focus on that problem and to focus on that experience, I think that is important to keep in mind. And again, coming back to Thomas Edison, the
Yes.
simpler something looks on the outside, the more complex it is underneath,
Inside.
under the surface. It's like an
Like the
iceberg.
headset.
Yeah. For the end users, we want our end users to look at the solution and look and only see the tip of the iceberg. You only need to know this part. All the stuff underneath, all the back end infrastructure, all the design, everything is the hard work that we developers put in to make the XR solution work. And the hard
That's
work
true.
cannot be
Yeah.
avoided. But the end result is worth it.
Speaking the hearts out of a product manager, Andrew.
Thanks.
I think, Sarvagi, this is the motto of every product manager to break down the difficult tech part and make it accessible to a common user. Isn't
Yes.
it?
Just focus on the what I just suggest to everyone and what I do also follow is there's two kind of a mindset that we run every day. One is like focusing on the problem and finding the right tool for that.
Yes.
And the second kind of a mindset is like I have the best tool in the world and now I have to see where's the problem. There are some I just suggest just go with the first option because then you can solve the multiple problems and then you can see okay there is a problem and then I can find the best tool. But if you go with the second thing, that's a big hurdle for you as well and you will be bottleneck. So once in a time, like after some time, you will feel yourself in the suffocated situation because then you are be limited in that box. So I'll just give an example with the virtual desktop and why it's required. So if you buy one box, then don't limit yourself because if you if you wanted to solve the real problems and you require the hand machine, just take it. Don't stuck yourself with the limited resources. Think beyond because you anyway like you are spending the same amount of money, but the time is important, not the money, right? So whatever time you will save because we all have the limited period of time. Yeah, that's it.
And we have to escape the 25th hour as well.
Yeah. So time is important. Time.
We
Time
only
is
have
very
24 hours.
yes.
Time is important.
This is a big debug of the developer's dilemma, the 25th hour, guys. Uh, very incredible point of views of both of you. And Sarvag, please explain our audience what is Ajna Remote Desktop, how XR developers, how bootstrapped XR content startups can leverage such kind of a solution, such kind of a product.
So why ARD? So for that, like we have to look at into current state. So current state, like the most of the humans, what they consume right now, they consume the videos every day more than food, right?
Content, yeah,
Content, right? More than food, the people consume the videos.
it's the human fuel
And
now.
how? Yeah, right. It's a mental food now. Yes. So how the people render the video, the millions of billions of people are making the videos each and every day, right? And for that as well, the computation is required, computational power is required. But now the world is completely moving towards immersive. Now you what you are watching till date, it's just a 180-degree frame, 120-degree, 110, like it's just a 2D screen with a 1080 resolution and everything. But now the next path will come with the human eye resolution, where like the if the XR has to blend with the real world, then it should be the resolution should be the human eye resolution, right? Then everybody will access will be started using this technology, and they will take it seriously, because that is a very fundamental. Like, if that is not there, then people will feel it's a toy, very basic, because they'll not considered as a reality. So for that, the high-end machines is each and every day it's required, and computational advancement is happening in the lightning speed. So if you buy any laptop or any hardware or any server today, in 6 months it will be out of the lake, because you have to again invest more after 6 months or a 1 year down the line. So that's why you have to take it remote desktop, take it now, solve the problems, and make yourself so run with the world, basically. Run with the world. So whatever advancement is happening in the world, you can get the benefit out of it each and every day. So that's why with that vision, we started the Ajna remote desktop. So
Yeah.
all the XR creators have the computation. They don't have to think about the computational power, but they have to think about how they can solve the real world problem. The how the Andrew has mentioned the very health problem
Like
for that can
dementia.
solve for
Like,
the
yeah,
yeah dementia
that's such a great
for all the
project, man.
humans, right? So
Yeah.
that is also very huge part they have to contribute, because that to solve that problem, the application when they are making it to understand the human being, that will also take lots of time. Okay, if the entire time is going into there, then how they can like solve the resources problem? This resource is not good. This resource is not good. Okay, let's shift. So the focus should be very laser sharp. Okay, if I am working on this, let's work on this, make it happen. Someone else is also doing it, and that also have to make it very perfect for them. So they can also. It's like a complete ecosystem. Everybody has to contribute in an equal pace.
Yeah.
So that's why now in this ecosystem, we all have to understand the why the remote desktop is required, and that's why like we are also bringing the ARD for all the XR developers and for everyone.
Enthusiast. Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Andrew, please conclude.
Yeah, I think the world of extended reality has come a long way in the past 2 decades, I would say, from when it first surfaced as a serious technology to start working on. It's come a long, long, long way. I think we are on the cusp of a very exciting time where um, specialization in solving different problems forms an ecosystem where, as Savraj, you very rightly pointed out, the innovators can focus on the problems that they are working on, and there are so many already to to sort of look into, the human aspect, the core technology aspect, and all the other things. We need to build up a community of solution providers that we can plug and play, so that we can move forward with the solution. And I think that would be, as XR developers and solution integrators, that's the kind of mindset to take. We don't reinvent the wheel. We stand on the shoulders of giants.
Amazing insights, amazing point of views. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Sarvagya, for sharing your insights on how a remote desktop solution can turn high-end dreams into reality, even on low-end machines. To our listeners, stay tuned. We will be back soon with more amazing stories, more insights about debugging developers dilemma, the 25th hour.